Set off the top. Geelong and St Kilda, a lot of doomsayers around about the Saints. They would have thought, oh yeah, top and bottom, but look at that. That's great news for the St Kilda Footy Club, and the whole look of this ladder, I think, is fascinating, albeit after 3 rounds of footy.
There's only 7 out of the top 8 teams are Melbourne teams too, so we mightn't have seen that this century. So Victorian club's going well, except for that one down the bottom. The Premier from last year, it's unbelievable, really, isn't it? So sometimes that's what you get, surprise early in the year when the better teams are playing each other and the teams that struggled last year are playing against each other.
That's why early rounds ebb and flow, don't they? Like a handful of those teams at the bottom got their first win, in round 3, and they needed it. But Geelong, the only one that didn't.
We'll have a good chat about the Cats, because it is extraordinary to think that they are the only team in this competition who have yet to register a win in 2023, and the one on top of the table. What a night it was for the Saints on Saturday night at the MCG. And when you declare, it's the 150th year celebration, which is a major milestone, then you're looking at the draw and you're going, righto, when can we slot it? We're at the MCG, record crowd, you turn up, you jump the Bombers, then they come back, they level the score, and you think this is going to ruin the whole damn night, and then they kicked away again in the most impressive fashion. So how good for the Saints and for everyone at home? Tell us the difference in this St Kilda of 2023. Remembering, of course, that they were 8-3 last year.
Yeah, it was great. A lot of pressure on the club too that night. Big occasion too. Standing captain, there's captain not out there on the night, Jack Steele. So Wilkie did a fantastic job there. But big occasion to be able to actually handle it for the players. They did handle it, so they are 3-0. It's a change in the style. So Rossi's come in. Not a massive change, I wouldn't have thought, Gaz. But let's just have a look at that. There's a ball movement. Obviously, they're clearly moving it on the back of their speed. They identified that they've got great running capacity in their list. So let's get the ball moving. They're high in uncontested marks. They do kick the ball forward a reasonable amount of time, but they don't kick the ball long. No. And that's where they can get that turnover and oppositions can go back the other way. Bucks, so, being able to do it really well. I think we expected the Ross Lyon teams, Gaz, to be hard to score against.
Oh, certainly that.
Yeah, they are. And I just I've just got this bit of vision here that just sort of sums up the way they are able to own the outside. So just coming out of defence here, Essendon, so what they are is they're really disciplined and they're really consistent when the opposition does have the ball. So they're in their positions here defensively. They own the inside, so hard for the leading lanes, but they own the outside as well. As we look all the way at the back, they've got the goalkeeper, so Essendon can't get a quick play, but they also own the outside and own forward of the ball numerically as well, so they can turn the ball over and they go back to spare numbers and then go back deep inside 50. So that's helping them score well, but it's mainly helping stop oppositions from scoring as well, Bucks.
The progression of that, there was 5 St Kilda forwards that were still forward of the ball. Ross would have had 2 of those guys running up in corridor to choke up the corridor for the opposition if they wanted to run wrap through the corridor. But we know that the defensive profile has been awesome. They're still the best team on turnover in the first 3 rounds, but they're adding this offensive element to their ball movement. One thing that I did notice on the weekend, there was one particular kick from Hunter Clark. He was under a little bit of pressure through the middle of the field, and rather than try and find a kick here, he saw his eyes go middle. Now that's basically a kick for touch. Now that might have been going to Gresham, but I reckon it was just going to a pocket of space that they could defend in. It wasn't going back corridor where they could get turned over. And as you can see here, that edit that you showed was that's a boundary exit. So it was Essendon's, but that's a boundary exit. St Kilda been number 1 at going wide, and it just means that you can defend the turnover, and they're 18th going through the middle. Any corridor turnover is you're open to be attacked upon and scored back on. St Kilda just will not give the opposition that. So Ross Lyon defending really well, but then changing their ball use and happy to go forward. If it doesn't connect, well, at least they can defend that position.
And what I love about them too, guys, so they've come in, they know there's been some injuries, so it may have been overblown a little bit, but clearly Memory, King and Jack Steele, 3 very key players and not on that side. So they had their fair share of injuries, but they knew all along, guys, they could run. Okay,
it's one of the first things Ross Lyon said when he took over, and I think it was maybe his first press conference. He said, I don't know much about them, but I know they can run.
That's right, they can run, and he'll bring effort. He'll preach effort all the time. So let's just have a look at this on the weekend. This is what they do to teams. So on the turnover again, Essendon go into their half-forward line. They can just surround with numbers St Kilda, but when they realise the turnover, a little bit like Collingwood, they just pop and away they go, off to the races. They've got a smaller forward line, some really good runners there. Wood, Hill, Butler, Higgins, Gresham, Sinclair, just to name a few. But have a look at them. Now, this is a challenge for any defence. When they have to turn, go back to goals to keep up with these players, and they've been able to do this really well, Bucks.
They're actually, they're in the top couple of transitioning, as we saw in that Saint style graphic, from back half to front half. But one thing that they haven't done particularly well yet is score from their entries. They're 16th scoring from entries at around 37%. Adelaide are top at about 50, just to give a bit of context. But if King and Membry come back into that side and can improve that last kick, I mean, that could take them from where they are to be a 10 or 15% better side. So they've built it from defence first. Contest is good. The 2/3 offence has been great. If you finish better, well, where could they go?
Do you think, so you'd be looking at a side now going, oh, they're throwing zip gas. King and Membry coming back into the team, does that upset the apple cart? Does that upset the flow, or does it add to it?
No, it can't. Eventually getting them back in when they get games under their belt. I'm just wondering, with 3 games in here, and I don't want to be the Debbie Downer on the Saints. They're on top of the ladder and it was a great event, but this is a team, and look, when you really, as you said, when you go deep into the way they play, it's not totally dissimilar to the way they were playing last year. They're probably going quicker. They've beaten 3 teams that were just going, well, had been just going, Essendon not so much. They were 8-3 last year. They'd beaten Geelong, under...
Last team to beat Geelong
last team to beat Geelong. I just reckon it's deep breath time. And I know Ross Lyon will be exactly the same as this. He'd be thrilled with what they're doing. But, this is a marathon and they've got away to a fantastic start. The challenges are going to come.
I had them bottom 4. I didn't think they'd be out. I thought they had so many holes that they were going to struggle to fill. But they've got young guys that have come up and stepped up and playing really important roles, which is a mantra of Ross Lyon. He just gets players to play roles for the team and lifts their standard beyond what you think they're capable of.
So this is, and the great challenge that comes now is that the dissection of this team under Ross, which again is not all that dissimilar to what they're doing. They're going to look at all those things that you boys have shown, the edits, and then they've got challenging games coming up. But it is great, and we celebrate the fact that they're undefeated after 3 rounds, and it's a feel-good story for a footy club that are craving for some success.